Yo, I'm up your extra cat, and yep, it happened again, this time more serious than ever though, because now we have screenshots off the show, with the new wood biome and the mob and its drop revealed. Honestly, at this point, it makes you ask, do Mojang actually want these leaks? Are they good for the game, and are they even dropping these themselves? We'll discuss that right after we share this, but first things first, of course, spoiler alert, there are spoilers from the show, and if you don't want that, this isn't the video for you, maybe come back tomorrow. Anyway, let's show our first image of the leak. Here it is, look how incredible this is, but I think first it's important to give some context of how this actually came out, because a leak is only as good as its source, and this is a really questionable source. Someone just posted onto Reddit saying they had new leaked images of the creaking plus more, posting these 5 images and saying they're from the after show, so there might be more. And although I immediately did not trust it, they do look to be pretty decent images, and also they have these Mojang employees in the bottom left and right corner, and then they have the graphics that would say after show, which is when we know we're going to be seeing these things. So I would say they look pretty real, but we'll come back to the realness of it when we come to Minecraft actually wanting the leaks. For now, what do they actually show? Well, here's the first image showing the creaking. As you can see, it's not immediately attacking these players, although I imagine it's going to soon, and you can see the biome that it's meant to be in just behind there, and then we can see that clearly at some point it dies, and it drops something called the creaking heart. This gets me incredibly curious, and also at the exact same time, it confirms in the inventory that not only is whitewood real, you can see that next to the unenchanted axe, but next to the enchanted axe, you can see there's some cherry wood and some acacia wood. Very bizarre that they would just have one plank of each with them. That actually might have something to do with the creaking. If he is a vision-based mob and he lives in a very monochromatic biome, maybe he hates colors. Maybe that is a weird mechanic they're gonna mess with. It's hard to say for sure, but all I can say is that then they build a house from the wood they get from this biome, and oh my god, this looks incredible. I think if this is a real screenshot, and there are lots of things that make me want to say that, this looks nuts by itself. You can see the whitewood working in 3 very different builds here. On the right, they've got some deep slate, and they've got it on some like little stilts. It looks great with this kind of soul-y, never-y theme. And then if you look to the left, you can see it works great with a bit of aged copper. And then in the middle here, right next to this person with the TNT pillow, again, this is like a realistic image of someone at Minecraft Live, but you can see next to that, they've got some crimson wood, and it works really well with a bunch of other colors too. White wood is such a good color for wood, clearly, and I love the way that this looks, but you know what else I love? I love the look of this. There is something weird going on in this image that I genuinely can't describe to you. I'm guessing that all 3 of those woods on the right there are a type of wood, and for some reason moving a piston on there, it almost looks like it's a golem or something. But what I imagine it is you can get this wood not just in stripped and unstripped varieties, but maybe in damaged variety. It clearly does seem to be a type of wood doing something, but without any context, we can just say, huh, isn't that interesting? And then finally, here's another image of the creaking. This is a weird one to me because most of these screenshots look pretty decent, but then this last image of the creaking is just so bad. It's clearly between frames and it's blurry, and it just makes me question, what is the motivation for posting all of this? I would say on the balance of probabilities, it seemed more real than fake, but then the person started engaging in the comments and they posted this 6th image that you might not have seen in other places. This is the Pale Garden biome, and as you can see in this one, it's got lots of graphics on screen. They are correct. It would be Minecraft Live after show. That's when the developers are going to play it, and then we've got 4 developers, or at least Jeb, an executive producer, and we've got you know, the main person from Minecraft Live, and this other person here. We've got all sorts of Minecraft staff and stills. There's lots of effort you'd have to put into this image just to show off a fake biome, but looking at the biome as it is and saying that it's probably real, at least on the balance of probabilities, this is an insane reveal, because as you can tell, the Pale Garden is in fact going to be an overworld above ground biome. A lot of people theorize if there's a mob that's going to be in there, it's gotta be below ground. You can't just have horrors hanging out on the surface, but they really are going to have a horror style mob with a horror style drop hanging out on the surface, and it's going to mean getting your hands on this wood is actually going to be seriously hard. This is again something which is wild to say the least, and if we then go back to the first images with this in mind, you can see the creaking is hanging out below the canopy here. This could have been underground, but it's definitely above ground. That is the most common place to find this, if that's where they're choosing to show it off, and clearly he has some aversion. You can see they're holding the pink wood in their hands here too. He clearly must have some aversion to wood if 2 players that look unarmed are going to manage to take down a creaking, although then again, they have full iron armor that's taken some damage and a diamond sword. I want to know how you kill this thing, because I don't think it is going to be this idea of the shade, the kind of vision-based warden, because you couldn't have that hanging around in an overworld biome. Think about this seriously. This is a hostile mob that's going to spawn presumably in the day, based on these images. How is that going to happen? happen? How is any of that going to work? Is Minecraft's overworld going to suddenly be a lot more dangerous? I think the only way they could possibly do that is making this rare, but even then, they removed the killer rabbit from the game because it was a 1 in 10,000 chance, because some number of new players would spawn and then be immediately killed by a rabbit, which is hilarious to think about. But think about this, if this is a hostile mob, you could spawn in one of these gardens, and you would immediately be murdered by this thing if you don't know about it. Is that reasonable? I don't know that it is, and I think that if we then use that context for this fourth image, you can see they're doing something with the piston and the weird orange wood, and that has caused the creeker to be there in the background. I honestly didn't spot him the first time I was looking at this, but you can see there's a creeker in the background. Maybe he's drawn to something the players do so that you can't accidentally summon him. It's a mistake, kind of like the warden. Even if you spawn in an ancient city, you can get out of there before summoning him. Maybe there's going to be opportunities to not deal with that, but that is the big question about this. Speaking of big question, I know a lot of people want to know, does Minecraft actually want these leaks? But in this case, it certainly looks like no, because we actually found out how this person even got their hands on the Minecraft live video. They posted themselves saying, Microsoft sent the video out for subtitling early. That's how I got it, by the way. And they since have deleted this comment, which I guess means you have to trust me now as to whether this is real. But that is something I think is very good advice. Definitely do not be saying that publicly, because that, if they got the video for subtitling reasons, they almost certainly signed an NDA. And if they almost certainly signed an NDA, then there's going to be some repercussions. I actually want to talk about that a little bit, but first I think we should dive into the big question of, does it even matter? Because, if the repercussions implies that Mojang doesn't want this, that Mojang aren't in love with the idea, that there's even more hype coming from the community, and the fact that there's probably some number of thousands of views on this video tells you that lots of people wanted to hear about this. And indeed, I mean, the fact that every time there's a leak, it's never everything, it's always just enough to keep you interested in the show, well, that makes you ask the question, does Minecraft actually want these leaks? And I think, as someone who has a slightly above average understanding of what happened with Roger Badgerman, I can say fairly confidently they did not want him around. There were some legal threats behind the scenes, as you probably could have guessed from what happened in front of the scenes, but yeah, earlier this week is a bit more of a grey area, given that they immediately revealed basically everything themselves via this speculate image, which means that if they didn't want that page to go live, and I do think that's probably more realistic, they were at least very prepared to make it out there themselves. In the same way they used to give us the mob vote before we got to vote on it, now they give us a little bit of details about Minecraft Live, but never enough to maybe see it. And I do think if we combine this with the fact that people say Minecraft leaks a lot, but they include sometimes this accidental YouTube leak of the mob vote last year, which was found out to be false. It claimed you were going to be able to vote on a seagull, which has yet to come to Minecraft. And so these images are definitely the least intentional, and I would wager someone somewhere producing Minecraft Live is probably quite upset that this has gone out there. This is really only, though, the second time there's been a major external leak. Unlike the them putting their own website live, I think the Roger Badgerman thing and this are the only two major examples in the last 15 years of them actually having major breaches of data, and even then it's for things they were going to announce soon anyway, so is it even that big of a deal? That's up for you, I would say. But yeah, I think now we need to come back into this person. It probably got this because they were doing subtitles. That might just be a convenient excuse for how they fake these images, but if they were sent this video for subtitles, they almost definitely would have signed an NDA. It is standard practice in the entertainment industry to have to send out copies of things before they actually air, so that they can be subtitled by the time they're actually viewed, and so that they can have the visual effects, etc. However, all the people they send these things to, they will make them sign an agreement not to share this with the world. This is described as a non-disclosure agreement, and they can be used for all sorts of things, but that doesn't mean that you can't disclose things, it just means you're legally not supposed to. And so what happens when they fail? Well, funnily enough, we've seen like the Game of Thrones entire season leak months early because someone just shared it with the world, and generally speaking, this is a bad thing because you're breaking an agreement, right? And so what happens when you breach an NDA? Well, actually this varies by the NDA you're signed. Basically every NDA I've ever signed, again, just as my niche world as a creator, just says we reserve the right not to work with you again if you choose to disclose something before a certain date. And I would say that this is probably how most NDAs work. It's the vague idea of signing an agreement that makes you realize you're meant to be truthful. However, it is worth mentioning you could add a penalty in there, and the probable max of that is going to be the damage that you cause to the business or entity by disclosing something you're not supposed to. So if they did sign an NDA, they would be on the hook for the damage to Mojang. If there was damage to Mojang would love to claim, like, if they were going to sue them, them, like, yeah, we lost so many viewers on Minecraft Live and therefore so many sales, but I think that realistically speaking, this was a good leak for the community because it was just enough to get you more excited for the show, right? What is the Creaking Heart? What does it do? How is there going to be this crazy hostile biome just sitting in the middle of Minecraft? I have so many questions and I have no answers, and yeah, I think that this is something as I came to the end of this video, I realized they actually deleted their post, which makes me then think maybe this is someone who's very worried about the consequences, or maybe this is genius marketing by Minecraft. I feel like that is the hard thing about all of this, and that's why it's very important to make this comment right here, that we have no idea. I always share this with Minecraft News. This is not just the first place, I believe, that is sharing this news, but also the only place that has found this 6 image and dug deeper into this. But if you want to subscribe, you can see the latest and greatest in Minecraft news, as well as all the other things we find interesting about survival Minecraft here. And also, you can watch the live show that we'll be doing tomorrow. But yeah, where we're actually going to be watching Minecraft Live. I think it's worth mentioning that this is something that is probably going to encourage more people to watch it. I was already going to watch it, like I said, with all of you. It's going to be fun. But I think some number of people are going to be like, yeah, I was just going to wait till the notes came out after the show and see what's happening in the update. Now they're like, whoa, what's with that biome? I want to see this real time. This was a very effective ad for the show, which is why a part of me says maybe, you know, like if my odds before were like, you know, like a 80-20, I would say now it's like 5% this is fake. Someone is very good at faking it. 5% this is actually an ad from Mojang, but 90% this is probably real. But what do you think? What is more likely there? Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe with the bell or member or whatever YouTubers say at the end of the videos. I'll say I really love my Big Salmon plush, and I'll also say that I've got to go out to meet my estranged father for lunch now. It's going to be interesting. I don't think you're meant to overshare that much at the end of a video where a lot of people are going to be watching. So actually, I'm just going out for lunch. I hope the milk's there. It's been a lot of years. See ya.